vying for that position on the council, and one shall remain nameless, but Eric Noble also lives on this street, and anyway, I'm supporting Eric Noble, and I want to encourage you to do so too. So he's somewhere here. There you are. There he is. Stand up. Anyway, also there are 2 open positions on the council for which a host of people want to be on the council, and one of those people that wants to be on the council is Lisa Scott. Wherever Lisa, you are.
She just ran off.
She just ran. And she currently is serving on the council as an appointed member of the council, replacing Steve Ensley, who most of you know. He's been around for a while. Was a wonderful service to the community and the council, and unfortunately had to resign due to health problems. Anyway, we're glad Lisa was the person selected for that position, and she's hoping that she'll gallop ahead of a whole herd of people. And then Rich Hartman is taking on Patrick Hayes, who most of you know through North Beach Chat. Everybody chat, everybody bitch and complain, social media. So anyway, and also David Lee. And so I wanted to just welcome you all and to let you know who these people are. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves and tell you all about them. If you'd like to have a question posed to them and you're afraid to raise your hand, you can fill out a card over here and slip it to me, and I will give it to them. So, anyway, Eric, go ahead.
So I want to thank you all for coming, and thank yes, both Jennie and Bob for putting this on. I really appreciate it. You know, thank you very much. We've done a few of these meet and greets, and each one kind of gets different, and but they've all been really good. And all we're trying to do is get our message out, and get our message out in a way that, maybe if you agree with it or like it, that you can go and tell other people. And I think it's a little better than maybe knocking on everybody's door in a cold call or anything, but we can get together, you can ask questions, you can get to know us a little bit more. Obviously, I'm Eric Noble. I moved here in 2014, actually moved up here to be the general manager down at the World Mark Mariner Village, which has been a blessing for me. I've appreciated it. So I work here and live here. I live down a few doors down. And when I first came here to Ocean Shores, I mean, how many of you have been here for 10 years or longer?
I can see it.
Right, okay. So, and that's a good thing. So you have a little bit more history of Ocean Shores than some of us do. And when I first got here 7 years ago...
Sorry.
No worries. We'll wait. You can answer it. We'll be okay. Just
The problem is I can't even see it. We tried to turn it off, and obviously I failed.
That's all good. Yeah. So and originally I'm kind of from the Midwest, just so you know a little bit about me. And I've been in management for about 25 years. I've managed big staffs of about 150. I've managed budgets of about $8 million. Been managing the World Mark for 7 years. And it's doing well. So I have a lot of experience in managing budgets, managing people. I've had to work in all of I worked for the Salvation Army for 10 years at a big conference center in Wisconsin, and I had to work with the county, I had to work with the state, I had to work with the city. So I have a lot of experience on the backside, having to work with regulations and dealing with zoning and stuff with the city. And so when I moved here, I started hearing this narrative that was interesting, and it was a very negative narrative about how poorly the city had been run, how financially it was kind of going south, how a lot of things, and how corrupt it was. And I was concerned about that, and I actually kind of, tried to look into it and, bought into that for a little while. And it was interesting because then I started going to the council meetings, and I started looking at the paperwork and the budgets. When the city does anything for whatever people want to hear, we are very transparent. There's a lot of noise out there that the city isn't transparent, but everything we do is public because you can't not do anything that's not public, and you can pretty much find anything you want. You might have to dig a little bit, but you can find most anything you want. So after I started looking into it and seeing that the city seemed to be doing better than I was told it was doing, and actually realizing that it was in fairly good shape, had been fairly well managed, and was moving in the right direction. And so that's where I decided I kind of wanted to get a little bit more involved in the city. So I originally got on the planning commission with Eleanor. You know, I enjoyed working with her for a couple of years, and that was a good thing. I know you're still there working on it. You know, we finished up this shoreline master plan, did chickens and marijuana and camping lots. That was fun, wasn't it? But then we started working on the comp plan, the comprehensive plan for the city. The comprehensive plan that we have right now is a very outdated document that was written in the 80s. Our zoning and our ordinances were written in the 70s and 80s. And we are in a position now, as I was talking to these lovely people over here, where our city is booming and we really need to manage what is going on here. And it's difficult to manage with a very outdated comprehensive plan and an outdated zoning. So we've been working on it. Lisa and myself and Susan on an ad hoc committee have gotten through 4 chapters. Another ad hoc committee has gotten through a couple of chapters, and we're ready to now, you'll be happy, Eleanor, hopefully by September we can take it out to all the public. You can have your input, because we want everybody's input on what the city is, what it should be, and where it should go. And once you are okay with that, then hopefully we can pass it. That will help us to start managing the city, which lets us look at our zoning, look at our ordinances, look at everything we need to do. So as of June of this year, we just got our financials out, which anybody can see and anybody can look at. I think the city financially is in a better financial situation, even after paying the Bathke case, which none of us wanted to happen, than we've ever been before. You know, I think this election is a very critical election that will set the city up in the next 4 years for where it will go for the next 20 years. The reason the 3 of us are kind of running together, because we all have talents and knowledge that the rest of us don't have. You know, I've worked in the hospitality industry for the last 30 years. And so I know the hospitality industry, plus living and owning a house here. I get what you all go through too. Don't raise my taxes. Keep the city good, but take care of it. You know, Lisa she'll talk about her, but she brings a wealth of knowledge from city government. Rich Hartman brings a wealth of knowledge from running his own business, making his own business, and then getting connections with legislatures and above us that could really help bring some needed things that we need to do here in Ocean Shores, such as a healthcare facility and stuff. You know, my passion to see what happens going forward is keep the city financially viable and start taking care of our fresh waterways. And obviously the golf course, which we are taking care of that, so that's a good thing. But the fresh waterways need a lot of work and need a long-range plan. With the Point Brown area needs a long-range plan and help fixing that. You know, and we need the health and fire and safety needs a long-range plan and how to do it. And I think the 3 of us, what I'm looking forward to is trying to get a council that doesn't always agree, because we don't, but that can work together collaboratively to help the city go forward and make decisions that need to be made at the end of the day, and not just talk and listen, which is good. We need to do that. But at the end of the day, we need to make a decision to move forward, which is best for the city and the majority of the city. Maybe not everybody's going to agree with it or like it, but you know, we need to make it viable for as many people as we can. So that's why we're running. That's why I'm running, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you. For those of you who've heard this before, I apologize, but my name is Lisa Scott, and I was appointed to the City Council in February of this year, so I've been there for, I think, just 5 months now. And as Eric alluded to a little bit earlier, you know, my whole thing is I want to hit the ground running, and I think we have. My first 5 months, we've accomplished going through 4 chapters of the comprehensive plan, which the Planning Commission worked really, really hard on and bringing that forward, and it kind of sat dormant for about 1.5 years at the city. And we decided to tackle that, get it done, get it approved, and I really appreciate the fact that we could do that together as an ad hoc committee and had the the trust in the council to get that preliminarily approved, which is amazing. So my name is Lisa Scott. I was not born on the harbor, but I was raised on the harbor. My parents own and operate a business that they bought in 1979, and they still do that. They've moved many people in and out of Ocean Shores through the years. They own the local moving company in Aberdeen. So, and they live here in Ocean Shores. I have a son that's 8 years old that I adopted, or he was 8 years old when I adopted him. Sorry, he's 24 now. Yes, so he's 24 now, but I think that's really important. The Foster to Adopt program is an amazing one, and hopefully that'll shed a little bit of light about a little personal tidbit on my own. But I love him to death, and he's still local, so I'm glad to have him close, and my mom and dad even closer. I graduated from Montesano High School. I went on to Grace Harbor College where I graduated, and then I went to Eastern Washington University where I graduated. My dad sent me a job application about 6 months out of graduating from college for the Port of Grace Harbor. And so I was fortunate enough to start my career in 1992 at the Port of Grace Harbor, where I worked for 8 years. And then this gentleman right here, Mr. Mike Wilson, he hired me at the city of Aberdeen in the year 2000, which I've been there ever since. So the last 15 of those years, I've been as the director of the Community Development Department, which oversees the building, planning, code compliance, and property maintenance divisions for the city. So that is a very challenging role, most definitely. My mom served on the city council in Montesano for 13 years, and that's where I fell in love with serving the public. I consider myself a public servant. The best day spent for me is helping somebody wade through permitting. It can be a very challenging process, especially when you're talking critical areas and shorelines and all of that fun stuff. It can be just a nightmare to navigate if you are a layperson and a citizen. So my job is to help people go through that. So I'm dedicated to that public service, and I always knew I wanted to give back to my community, and for me it was serving in the public. And so when Mr. Inslee's seat became open, I put my hat in the ring. And I had 9 people that put their hat in the ring, and I was fortunate enough to be one of the lucky one chosen to fill that seat, and so I'm running today. I think it is amazing that Ocean Shores has 10 people running for 3 seats. A good case in point, the city of Aberdeen has an election going on currently, and they have 6 seats open and 2 of them are uncontested. So for me, that shows that people in Ocean Shores are passionate, and that's how it should be. People are running for this city because they have something to give. The 3 of us have often been asked, why are you guys running together as a team? It looks like you only have one voice, you can't think for yourselves, and that's exactly the opposite. We don't all agree, we all disagree, but the thing for us is we can work together to come up with a common ground and move forward, and at the end of the day, if we still disagree, we can move on to the next item. We each know how to work together, and that's what we can bring forward to you, is the promise that no matter what the issue is, we will look into it, we will get all the facts and make an informed decision, and one that may be against our personal beliefs, but one that might be best for the city. I use this as a case in point because it always hit home for me when Eric brought up the marijuana issue. I think every city in the state, every town in the state had to deal with that when the voters passed 502. And in our city in Aberdeen was no different. And I had a council member that when it finally came forward, he stood up and said, you know, this is totally against anything that I personally believe in, but every single ward in this city voted for this majority, so I'm voting for this. And so it's against his personal beliefs, but he did what he thought was best for the city because that's how the voters spoke. And that just really resonated with me. And that is what I hope to do, it may be against my personal beliefs, some of the items that come forward, but it's what the citizens want and it's what's best for the city that rules the end of the day. So I just am a firm believer that working together we can accomplish that. We have a whole laundry list of items that need to be tackled. Anytime you have a downturn financially, the first thing a city does is look to cut maintenance. It's the easiest things, the low-hanging fruit. You don't resources, green space, roadways. I mean, the list is endless. The thing that we can do together, working together, and that we need your help with is what are the priorities and how can we prioritize them? And then we need to take that priority list and budget. Let's get these things done. No more talking about them. We need to get them done. And that's what I want to do. I want to hit the ground running. The thing for me is people say, oh, 30 years, you're already knee deep in bureaucracy. Well, yeah, that can be true. But the thing is at least I know my way around a financial statement. I know my way around permitting. I know my way around municipal government. And so I won't have to take the time that every candidate will take coming in, because it is a learning challenge, because it's a different world, and can head right into getting those things done. And again, it's setting those priorities and budgeting them accordingly. No more talking about them. We need to get them done. So that is my